All right, I will now call the meeting to order. We will begin with roll call.
Arnaldo Avalos, Manuel Baca.
Here.
Jenna Barrera.
Here.
Jeffrey Bond.
Present.
Natalie Bird. Joseph J. Belansky Jr.
Here.
Thomas Epstein. Cecilia B. Estolano.
Present.
Danny Hawkins.
Good afternoon.
Nancy Zumi.
Here.
Deborah Malumed.
Here.
Gary Reed.
Here.
Nancy Sumner.
Present.
Colin Van Loon.
Here. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. And members, Sumner, could you please lead us in this Pledge of Allegiance?
Please read. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chancellor, before we go on to the rest of the agenda, if you could...
Happy to. Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. It is really a pleasure to have the roll call take as long as it did today. That means we have a number of new members of the Board of Governors. At our last meeting, we acknowledged the reappointment of Jeffrey Baum, and today I'd like to acknowledge the reappointment and the appointment of several new members. I'm going to read a quick bio on these folks, and then we're going to ceremoniously swear them all in again. Many of them have already been sworn in, which is a technicality, but we're going to get them up here and get a photograph and swear them in another time. First of all, Arnaldo Avalos of Pleasanton is the founder and chief executive officer of Avalos Foundation. He was previously the head of compensation and global compensation manager at Facebook and senior global compensation manager for Google. Avalos held multiple positions at Cisco Systems prior to that, including compensation manager, corporate recruiter, and manager of business operations. He was a system consultant at Anderson Consulting and farm manager of Avalos Farms prior to that. He's a member of the Latino Community Foundation Board of Trustees and a founding member of Hermos Unidos. He earned his master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School. He is not with us today, but will be for the board meeting tomorrow. Secondly, a pleasure to announce the reappointment of Dr. Manuel Baca of Diamond Bar. He is currently a professor of political science at Rio Hondo College, where he's held multiple other positions, including vice president of student services and director of extended opportunity programs and services, financial aid, and veteran services. Dr. Baca was director of the Orange Friendly Center and administrative assistant to the dean of the Educational Opportunity Program at the California State University Fullerton from 1972 to 1980. He earned the Doctor of Philosophy degree in education from the University of Southern California. Also pleased to announce the reappointment of Joseph J. Belansky Jr. of San Francisco, who is the articulation officer at Berkeley City College. Dr. Belansky was president of the Peralta Community College District Academic Senate and president of the Berkeley City College Academic Senate, and also involved in the Disabled Students Program and Services Counselor at Berkeley City College. He's been a faculty commissioner on the Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges. He earned a Doctor of Education degree from St. Mary's College of California and the Masters of Science and Rehabilitation Counseling from San Francisco State University. Tom Epstein, who will be with us a little bit later, he was committed over the lunch hour, of Orinda, is Vice President of Public Affairs of Blue Shield of California. He was Vice President of Communications for the Public Broadcasting Service, Special Assistant for Political Affairs for the Office of the President under Bill Clinton, and Deputy Commissioner for Consumer Protection and Communications at the California Department of Insurance. He earned his Juris Doctorate from the University of California, Los Angeles School of Law. Cecilia Estolano of Pasadena has been, or is the founder of Estolano Lazar Perez Advisors. She was Chief Strategist for State and Local Initiatives at Green for All, Chief Executive Officer at the City of Los Angeles Community Redevelopment Agency, and a lecturer at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Public Affairs. Estolano was of counsel at Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher, and served as assistant city manager at the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, and was a senior policy advisor for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. She earned the Juris Doctorate from the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. Nancy Sumner of Glendale is the Critical Care Transport Coordinator and Registered Nurse for the Schaefer Ambulance Service, and Disaster Coordinator and Registered Nurse at Glendale Memorial Hospital and Health Center. She served in multiple positions in the U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard, including Colonel and Staff Sergeant. Sumner is a committee member of the Glendale Veterans Coalition, serving veterans and military families by advocating for the veterans population. She also helps them with resume writing, resolving gaps in their service, and access to education. And these are in alphabetical order. We don't ever put our students last, but Colin happens to end up last alphabetically. But a new student member from Fresno, Colin Van Loon. He's a student in marketing and marketing assistant at Fresno Center for International Trade Development, a student pursuing a degree in philosophy at Willow International Community College Center of the State Center Community College District. He's the Vice President of Finance for the Willow International Community College Center Student Association Government. I think you just got elected president, didn't you? Oh, yes. See, the governor doesn't even know that. And he also was on the District Budget Committee for financial reallocation. He was a member of the hiring committee to select Vice President of Administrative Services at Willow International, and was a volleyball coach for the Clovis Unified School District. Please join me in a warm round of applause for our new members of the board. And I'd like to ask them all to come up and stand in front of the backdrop, and we're going to do a ceremonial swearing in so we can get some photographs. Slide right over this way. Everybody line up. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Estolano,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, Governor Brown, for my personally thank you for my reappointment, and thank you for the appointment of the others. I think the office and the governor of the office of the governor and he have made some really good choices. I'm not including myself necessarily, but others certainly. Let me begin with my report. And first of all, I want to send a thank you out to Dr. Linda Lacey in Cerritos College. I was invited there this past weekend to do the commencement address, and I appreciated doing that. I always, this is a great time of the year because this is the time of the year where we acknowledge students' efforts and success in achieving their degrees and certificate. They had an outstanding commencement, very well organized, very well attended by the students and the parents. Since our last meeting, I also have attended or spoken to a number of groups, primarily counselors of one type or another. On April 3rd, I was with the counselors providing advice and counseling to athletes as a statewide meeting. And then on April 4th, I was with the counselors and directors at the Rancho Community College District from that region, several colleges, those advising veterans. And then on May 8th, I attended at Chaffey College, the Chino Center, a regional meeting of career counselors. And one of the things that they want to hear about student success, and one of the things that I tried to provide some support on and encouragement is that in order for the student success efforts to be really successful, it has to go well beyond just simply the counselors and their work with students. And what that essentially means is that the entire community, and particularly the instructional faculty, must be engaged not only in discipline delivery and content, and all those things are critically important for student success, obviously, but also in helping counselors effectively manage the process of getting through the system. So they're very encouraged by the Student Success Initiative, but also the idea that in fact that they work to get the entire community engaged in those efforts. Also, I was able to attend a workshop focusing on veterans, which was at my home college, Rio Hondo, coordinated by Marshall Thomas from the California State University at Long Beach, and the VetNet Ally Seminar, which is a morning-long seminar providing a lot of background on the military culture, but also on the kinds of things that maybe are confronting veterans as they get into the higher education system, the kind of support there. He does that along with Dr. Joseph, help me, Linda.
Dr. David Joseph.
Dr. David Joseph, thank you, who also provides some background in terms of mental health issues and so forth. But it is really something that I think has been very useful, not only to community college counselors, but to others working within the community colleges. So it was very well attended by a cross-section of folks within the community colleges, but also those maybe there were some individuals there from the local congressional office, and some that are working in CSU as well. I also attended the Academic Senate Plenary in San Francisco at the Westin. And always a lot of activity both in the fall and the spring among the faculty leadership in addressing a variety of issues dealing with instruction. And I just want to say a little bit of something about the Mount SAC relays, which is another one of my campuses. But I attended a banquet there for the relays, and they were, among other things, honoring some 19 individuals who had their start at the Mount SAC relays or were very involved in the Mount SAC relays in one way or another, either as a coach, as an athlete. But the number of Olympic athletes that were there that evening was just outstanding. I mean, I can't even begin to count the number of medals. But they had some really good things to say about Mount SAC, and I think this is just another example of the community colleges being engaged even, at the highest levels in terms of competition or instruction or in any number of things. And talking about, again, the community colleges and what they do for the state and for the community, we know that the community colleges train a large number of nurses. Those of us that have been maybe to a hospital or sought services and have asked about where the training comes from of our nurses, our technical staff in hospitals and in clinics, and an overwhelming number say it's one community college or another. So we are not only training nurses, but we're also doing a lot of training in other areas. We've had fires, and the governor this past Sunday was addressing the California fires on national television, and speaking about the concern that we have this summer in particular because of global warming affecting the climate change, affecting certainly California in this instance. And I haven't picked up the latest on the fires, but I think they're being controlled as we speak. But the community colleges also train a large number of firefighters. So, our thoughts go out to those that have been called out, the San Diego fires, and those that will be called out possibly this summer, hopefully not. Hopefully we have a situation where we're fire-free, but we kind of just live in that environment. We're very vulnerable to that. And then I just want to close off with City College of San Francisco, and just simply reaffirm from this board that the work that Chancellor Harris has done there, and the City College of San Francisco community itself has been really exemplary over the last few months. We have made major strides, and the one thing that has to happen is that City College of San Francisco must continue, and I think it's very important that we, through our processes, ensure that and see that happens. But I simply wanted to reaffirm our commitment as a Board of Governors in the Chancellor's work in working with not only the Accrediting Commission but others to ensure that there's a continued presence of the City College of San Francisco in its accredited state. And with that, I will turn it over to the Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. Just a few quick updates. April is always a very active month for meetings of our associations, various associations up in the state. I had the pleasure during April of speaking with the State Academic Senate plenary. I also had an opportunity to talk with the Southern California CEOs, the separate meeting for the chief academic officers of the state and the chief student services officers, and another one with the chief admissions officers and counselors of the state. It was a great opportunity to get out in the field and talk with a number of our constituent groups and a number of my colleagues. Additionally, of course, this is a very active time for the budget. You're going to hear a little bit later from Dan Troy in terms of an update on the budget, but I want to applaud the work of Dan and Vince Stewart, Government Relations, Eric, and all the staff. As all of us know, the development of the budget from the beginning in January with the governor's stated budget and then the May revision used to take a lot of time after that. It used to roll all the way into August or September, but a few years ago they passed this law that suggested there ought to be an on-time budget, and so now the sprint between the May revision and the actual approval of the budget is a pretty rapid one. So if Dan disappears halfway through the meeting, it's because he's going where he should be, down the street to the Capitol, to continue that budget battle. We are guardedly optimistic that not only will the governor's January budget hold, but some of the changes that he made in his May revision will also be the case. We do understand, and Dan will give you more specifics, that there will be some pressure in the legislature to up the expenditures a bit as a result of the legislative analyst's office coming in with a higher revenue projection. But all of this is part of the dance that goes on in the development of the budget, and obviously our folks are heavily involved in that. In addition to that, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all of our colleagues who participated about 3 weeks ago in the joint higher education advocacy activity with the University of California and the California State University. This year it was UC's time to coordinate that, and they certainly did a good job, and we had presidents from up and down the state and chancellors who attended that activity, and they went in teams with the CSU president or chancellor and a UC president or chancellor to visit various legislators. Unfortunately, I got called away, so to speak, in the middle of that, and so Eric Skinner, my deputy chancellor, had to pinch hit. I may be the only guy on record who ever stood up the governor, the speaker, and the president pro tem all on the same day. But Eric did a fabulous job of representing me, and I can't say enough about Vince Stewart and his staff and working together to set that up. That joint higher ed advocacy activity is a very successful one, and obviously we are trying to present a unified front for California higher education, and I applaud President Napolitano and Chancellor Tim White. They have really walked the talk when it comes to working together. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll move on to the consent calendar, and I will entertain a motion to,
Oh yeah, I don't think, have we, and then our item already disappeared? That item's already been pulled, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's ready.
Okay.
Yep.
I will entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar.
So move.
Okay, Member Asumi,
Second.
Member Belansky, a second. Any discussion? Yes.
Thank you. This is always the year that they bring the T-tip to us for consideration, and I want to express appreciation for Vice Chancellor Perry in seeing much more detail is in the proposal as to what these significant multi-million-dollar contracts are going for, so that it gave me a much better sense of how the significant funding will be used. And the question I would have, we don't need to go into it in detail, but some of these, like setting up statewide conference calling services and things like that, seem to be the costs are coming down on technology on that. And will we be continuing to support this? I saw that these are both year 5 type of 5-year programs. How will that play out after this last year of the 5-year agreement will be going?
He's the technology guy, but he has a hard time with microphones.
Is that working? There we go. They're all 5-year grants. They get rebid out every 5 years, so we'll be going through that cycle. As far as, you are correct, as far as the costs do come down, but in the case of a lot of the things that we put out there, the volumes actually go up as far as their use. So, for instance, the one you mentioned, the conference call service, every year we renegotiate that one with the 800 vendor, and we balance higher volume with lower cost.
So I'll be interested, now that you've concluded this stage of it, or this stage will be concluded, what will be the process of rebidding that? How will we identify what are the needs, and then how we're going to be using
Sure.
it?
The Technology and Telecommunications Advisory Committee, which is the oversight group, very much of a consultation nature, has a retreat coming up, and that's one of the things we'll talk about, and also staff internally, we create the work plans for these projects. So it's a collaborative effort between both system and Chancellor's office to know what are we going to spend our limited funds on. And then we ultimately write that RFI, the RFP, and that goes out to the districts to bid on.
Great, thank you, because I just saw it was quite large numbers in some of these contracts. I want to make sure how we're approaching them.
Any other discussion? Member Belansky?
I just want to do what I always do when we come to grants, is acknowledge a few of them. But I'm impressed with the fact that there are 34 in the packet today, which is the largest, I think, ever since I've been on. And I'd like to just comment on a few of them because they're things that are part of my work. I'd like to acknowledge number 6, the CID, that we are continuing to give money to that, which has greatly assisted with the ATT degrees and greatly assisted with CSU articulation. Also, the Transfer Counselor website, number 7, because it's extremely important to have some kind of a consolidated website that you can direct students to get transfer information. And I especially want to point out number 8, assist, because that's what articulation officers use, both to get public information as well as to go in behind the scenes and do the maintenance on assist. And we are going to assist 2.0. And so I would mention about the CCC Confer. I use it a lot. And in the next couple of days, assist will be using CCC Confer in order to do webinars. And in so doing, I suspect there will be at least 100 articulation officers both times using that service. And I think if one goes on the website and looks at the number of meetings daily through CCC Confer, I think most people would be just amazed, because it's about the only service available to the 112 colleges to set up some kind of conference call where you don't have to leave your office and you can work and stay, and I'd just like to acknowledge that. So I just think it's great that we're passing or adopting or affirming these 34.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor of the consent calendar, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, the consent calendar is approved. We'll move on to action item number 2.1, request for approval for State Center Community College District to pursue college status for the Willow International Community College Center. This item requests state approval for State Center Community College District to transition the Willow International Community Center from center status to college status. Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. It is rare that we have the opportunity to have an item like this. As the board knows, we have 112 colleges in our system. I had the extreme pleasure a few years ago of being involved in the birth of a college, and this is only the second time in my career I've had that opportunity, and it's really a pleasure to introduce Dan Troy, who will introduce his colleagues to talk about the beginning of the birth of another institution in our system. Dan?
Yes, thank you, Chancellor Harris, President Baca, members, and a special welcome to the new members. A pleasure to have you here today. With me today, assisting with the item is at the far end is Assistant Vice Chancellor Fred Harris, who's the head of our facilities and compliance team. Our facilities division does a lot of work in terms of coordinating the needs assessment that's done in terms of creating and anointing a new center or college. So he and his staff did a lot of work on this. And right next to me, I'm pleased to have President Deborah Akita, who's the president of what is now known as the Willow International Community College Center. And as you can see, our request in this item will be to change the name of that center to Clovis Community College Center and hopefully move the center on its path along to becoming a full-fledged college. And to answer the question that you raised, Chancellor Harris, the last time we approved a college, we actually approved two of them. I believe it was in 2009, I want to say. It was Norco College and Moreno Valley College, both down in Riverside. So it's been 5 years since we've had a new college. So the story of this this area's quest for a college goes back a long way, but I'll start with 1991, where this board's capital outlay program determined that there was a need for a comprehensive two-year college in this greater Clovis, northeast Fresno area. According to the Department of Finance, the population of the service area is over 800,000, about 835,000, I believe, and over the next 10 or 15 years, it's expected to exceed 1 million. The other options available within the area, within the district, are Fresno City College, which is already more or less maxed out in terms of size, and Reedley College is the other college in the district. Is about 35 miles away from this area, so it does not necessarily provide adequate accessibility to such a large service area. So this center has this area has been pursuing a college since that time. Some notable landmarks include a passage of a local bond in 2002, which built up the what is now the current Willow International Center, and also acquired, I believe, about 110 acres worth of land in order to build out for eventually to become a two-year comprehensive college. In fall of 2008, the district submitted a letter of intent to our office to pursue college status, which was approved by our office a few months later. And last fall, the district completed a comprehensive needs assessment, which lays out the college's preparedness to pursue college status, and also looks at all the reasonable, feasible alternatives. That review is a comprehensive document that involves many divisions within our office, notably academic affairs, investigates the comprehensive nature of the academic offerings and academic planning of the institution. Notable, I think, as well, is that the college has an administrative structure in place that's already prepared for college status, including the appointment of President Akita. Student Services assesses the need of the entity to provide appropriate student services to its students, from counseling, assessment, the ability to offer financial aid assistance, CalWorks programs, EOPS, et cetera, so that the district is prepared to take on the needs of a comprehensive two-year institution. Also, our staff, and I'll turn it over to Fred here for that, assesses VERT, which may be the most critical criteria is the capital outlay and fiscal preparedness of the institution. So, Fred, would you like to say a few words about that?
Sure. That was a very thorough review. Good afternoon, board members. We've got a site here that was a 110-acre campus, first purchased in 2003. The district, through a mix of local and state funds, has built 5 buildings, 179,000 square feet, has plans in the next 10 years to build an additional 3 buildings. It's a robust and vibrant campus with 1,600 FTS verified or certified in 2012, and for 2013, 3,000. So they more than meet the requirements for having the Board of Governors approve them to pursue their initial accreditation. And then once that happens, they'll come back and you will give them final approval, and they will then wait till the subsequent next year to be able to receive their dollars for apportionment support, additional dollars for apportionment support for the campus.
Yes, so as Fred indicates, the action today would not be the final step. The campus still needs to work with the accrediting commission to receive that final blessing. If things proceed as smoothly as possible, I believe that would come next June or July, and then they would the district would come back to us for a final recognition of the Clovis Community College as our 113th community college. So with that, I'd ask for your approval of the staff recommendation to allow Willow International Community College Center to pursue status as a college and to recognize a name change to the Clovis Community College Center.
And that's
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's a lucky 113.
Yeah. I'll move approval.
Before I open it up for discussion, motion for approval by Vice President Baum. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Solano. Discussion? Any questions?
I would like to
Member
comment.
Van Loon?
Yes. As many of you guys know, I attend Willow International Community College, and I would like to reinforce what is said thus far from a student's perspective. Being and living in the Clovis area and northeast Fresno, many students would be inconvenienced if this college center could not pursue college status because of the area we live in. From my area, Clovis, it's about a 25-minute drive to the nearest college, Fresno City, and a 45-minute drive to Reedley College. And thus many students would be inconvenienced by that drive and discouraged to attend these colleges. So giving this college status or allowing them to pursue college status would be highly convenient and a good idea for these students in the area, including myself.
Thank you. Member Belansky?
I just wanted to acknowledge that I have the privilege of knowing President Takeda, and I want to just publicly thank her for her leadership at the school. I think if one goes there, and I had the privilege of going there a couple of years ago, and it's a great place and a great curriculum, and it's evident that people are fully engaged and appreciative of having that as a place to achieve student success. My only other question is, will she be making any comments or?
I would appreciate the opportunity to do so. First of all, I'm really very pleased that Colin Van Loon, the first student Board of Governors member from our district, comes from Willow International and was able to be present at this meeting today. I'm so very proud of him, and I know he'll be a wonderful addition to your group. So congratulations, Colin.
Thank you.
I'm here today to ask you to approve our application for college status. We are currently in candidate status with the Accrediting Commission, and we'll go through an initial accreditation visit next March 2015. That report then will go to the Commission's meeting in June, and we should hear the first week in July whether we are successful or not. We hope to be successful. We think we've done everything we need to do to follow through with that. And should that happen, as Vice Chancellor Troy has indicated, we will come back then for final approval. And we do want our name to be Clovis Community College, because that is the area that we were built to serve. There are 5 high schools in the Clovis Unified School District. Of course, anybody can come to our campus. We serve students from Fresno Unified as well, but there's already a Fresno City College in place, the oldest community college in California, although Pasadena may have an argument with us on that one. But we are really looking forward to move forward on this final state chancellor's office approval process. So I would hope you'd approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Member Sumner?
I would just like to say I'm honored also because Clovis is near and dear to my heart. I have property up in the mountains up there, but the veterans, because Fresno has a lot of veterans and Clovis in an area, so that's exciting for me to be a part of this too. So it's, you know, like sort of serendipity. So I think it's going to be great, and I'm definitely supportive of it. Thank you.
President, President Keating, I want to commend you and the efforts of the community. This is a wonderful opportunity to see communities that vote to fund the future for their community, and it'll enhance access. And I noted that as part of the access discussion in your analysis, that the east side of the campus features an interconnected community-wide bikeway trail.
Yes.
This is terrific to have you guys thinking about sustainability and multiple modes of transportation for your students. So I too am honored that in my very first meeting I get to play a little role in seeing a new college campus. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? There being none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Okay, action 2.1 is approved.
Thank
Good
you
luck
very
and thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Clovis College sounds so good. How did you get the name Willow International?
It's 2 streets.
It's the intersection our campus is at, and Bryce knows the whole story. It's a little bit of a political story, so I'll let him talk.
No politics involved.
But you sure can't get lost when going to the campus.
Right. You know exactly where it is. That makes sense now.
Very good. We will move on to action item 2.2, request for waiver of property use requirements, sale, lease, use, gift, and exchange. This item requests approval for the waiver of property use requirements. Chancellor Harris?
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. Before I pitch this to Fred, it is my very disappointing responsibility to tell you that this will be Fred's last Board of Governor member as a member of our staff. After 17 years in his post with the Chancellor's office and a total of 28 years in state service, Fred will be retiring in a couple of weeks here, and the day after he retires, he'll take the position of Vice President of Administrative Services, the Chief Financial Officer for Gavilan College in Gilroy. I have had the pleasure of working with Fred the entire time I've been in California, and I think I speak on behalf of all of us who post Prop 39, which many of us still believe was the best law ever passed in California, which lowered the threshold for bonds from 66 2/3 to 55%. Colleges up and down the state passed facility bonds by the dozens. And Fred dutifully, through that entire process, oversaw the new construction of facilities, the Chancellor's Office approval process. And most of us don't know how he did that. It was really a remarkable period in the history of California community colleges, and Fred was sort of the behind-the-scenes guy that made all of us look good as those new facilities came online up and down the state. So, Fred, on behalf of all of us, we thank you for your dedication and service to California's community colleges. With that, I'll turn the request for a waiver of property over to Fred.
Lovely. So before you, members, you have an action item to approve for the Desert Community College District for their Indio campus, the waiver of 2 provisions within the Ed Code dealing with the district needing the use of facilities for classroom purposes, and also the waiver of the sealed bid process in order to allow the district to complete its use of an Internal Revenue Service tax credit called the New Market Tax Credit, New Markets Tax Credit Program, which is an extremely complex process that I can tell you that is overseen by the IRS. The IRS reviews it for compliance, and I have a certain amount of comfort to believe that it's not illegal because of those particular oversight processes. This is not the first NMTC approval waiver process approval that has been before the board. And this is basically for the low-income communities in the Indio area There is a nonprofit, a community development organization that's been established that is providing funding, which basically results in roughly a 25% return back of the tax credit to the district. And it's a mutually beneficial process, again, overseen by the Internal Revenue Service. And I could probably butcher that process, but I will just spell IRS for you and leave it at that. So the action item before all of you today is just to allow, as we've done for other districts in the past, a waiver of certain provisions of the Ed Code to allow them to proceed in this process.
Before I entertain a motion, I want to say, Fred, that Gavilan is exceedingly fortunate to have you there. I hope they're prepared to share you, continue to share you with the state. So, but anyway, that's just a little side comment. You're going to be missed here, certainly.
Thank you very much
for all you've done.
It's been an honor to be here serving on all of your behalf to do the mighty work of the Chancellor's Office, the Board of Governors for the community college system, which is, serving the bottom 100% of the students within the state.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 2.2.
I'll move it.
Member Malumed, second. Member Hawkins. Discussion. Member Solano.
I just have a question, Assistant Vice Chancellor. So I'm very familiar with New Market tax credits and the complexity, and you probably have a whole platoon of lawyers working on this transaction.
Yes.
So one question is, what's the total development cost estimated, and what do we think the equity coming out of the MMTC allocation will be at the end of the day?
In terms of, do we have I don't have the amounts in terms of what the dollar amounts is. I have the amounts of the past tax credits, but I'm sorry, I don't have the amounts here. I know there are limited amounts of funds. It's roughly, for the country, that's roughly $5 billion annually that's approved by the Congress. And it gets around $10 million per each community development organization, but I'm sorry, I don't have the exact amount that the district will be benefiting from.
Yeah, that was my question.
But we can get that information to you, definitely.
How much would we be yielding out of this? Thank you. Thank you.
Member Asumi.
Well, Assistant Vice Chancellor, I want to add my congratulations to you, and I know we're all going to miss you here on the Board of Governors. And my 10 years here, Fred, you've been an incredible member of the staff, and we've relied upon you, and it's always been terrific working with you, and so we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I want to just ask, as you mentioned, this process has come up previously with other districts. Just out of curiosity, in the aftermath of the Board of Governors, approving this type of process, has there been any challenges faced by, any of the previous folks that we, gave these waivers to?
Well, I can share with you the experience of the other two waivers relative to NMTCs that have been approved by the Board of Governors is at West Hills Community College District. And if I falter, we have the Chancellor here of West Hills who could come in and pitch in some of the detail. I know for West Hills, especially on the last tax credit, they went through a validation process in the courts in order to ensure that there was no concern. I'm not aware of any other challenges that have occurred, and those are the only two tax credits, both of them at West Hills for the Lemoore facility and their Firebaugh facility, that have occurred in the state so far. I understand this is a 12 to 15-year-old program. It's not brand new. I also understand Congress, rather than annually approving roughly the $5 billion allowances, is considering to make this permanent. So they see this as a viable economic development vehicle in order to, to help targeted communities in terms of getting, the tax credit benefit to them. But it's only been those two so far, and I haven't heard of no other challenges.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Vice President Ball.
And this will betray my ignorance. With the elimination of CRAs in the state, will we anticipate seeing more of this type of legal maneuvering to take advantage of certain tax and development benefits?
I know in terms of West Hills, I can't predict whether or not it's something like this is something maybe we'll look at Gavilan for sure in terms of seeing if this is an opportunity. but this has been around, like I said, for over a decade, and I know West Hills has done a presentation at ACPO to interest people. The problem is this is so complex, and how do I put it nicely, but risk aversion is quite high in education, and people get a little nervous whether or not this is legal or not. And so it takes a certain amount of courage and fortitude and good, advice to be able to pursue something like this. There are funds that are available, and a lot of times it occurs where the community development entities reach out to the districts is usually where they first become aware of this. but it is an option that has been available, and it sounds like it's going to continue to be available and could be used. I don't think there's any direct connection with redevelopment agencies in that particular way, but it is a tax credit, and I guess I sleep better at night knowing that the IRS is involved.
Yeah, it's because I'm concerned, if something is legally precarious, I don't want to be in a position of encouraging it just to.
I think it's complex. I don't know necessarily if it's questionable. Again, as I mentioned to Board Member Izumi, the preventive nature of West Hills went to the courts basically to sue themselves to have this process validated, and it was validated by the courts with no challenges.
Good.
Go ahead.
Ms. Wright, Vice President.
Member Solano?
We formed a CDE when I led the redevelopment agency in Los Angeles. It's a very complex system, but it's been around for quite some time and has been an important funding source for communities. But it is legally complex, so there are specialized attorneys on both sides that have to deal with and document these deals. So it's the transaction costs in documentation are very high, but this could be a good source of funding for community college. So I was delighted to see that you all were getting into this. I would say that there's a lot of allocation out there that hasn't been spent. So this could be something, and that allocation has to get utilized before an additional allocation can be conveyed to a CDE. So this is something that Gavilan's going to take a look at it once you get over there, but this could be really a fruitful avenue for community colleges. It's just quite heavy in its documentation and regulatory.
And there's annual reporting to the IRS, and they look at it quite closely, and if for some reason you turn left and you're supposed to turn right, you get to pay back the whole tax credit. So,
but it's essentially a stream of equity that you can not otherwise achieve. So it's an equity that just comes right into the project. It's
one of the few tax credits like this that are available to community colleges. QSIPs and other things that are available on the K-12 are not available to us so far.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor of action item 2.2, please say aye. Aye. Nay. Action item 2.2 is approved. We'll move on to first, thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Move on to first reading, Student Success Support Program funding. This item requests a proposed change to the California Code of Regulations, Title V, Section 55518.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. These next two items, as President Baca said, are for first reading. They will not require any action from you today. However, after you have the presentation and conversation on each item, there will be a brief opportunity for public hearing on each of them. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Linda Michalowski, Vice Chancellor of Student Services. Linda?
Good afternoon. Thank you. President Baca, members of the board. This item presents for first reading a small but important regulatory change to the Student Success and Support Program. With me is Vice Chancellor Dan Troy, because this is a fiscal matter, and also on standby to help should any questions arise where we need legal assistance. General Counsel Michelle Goldberg is on standby. This concerns the requirement that community college districts match the categorical funds that they receive through the Student Success and Support Program at a rate of $3 of district funds for each one categorical dollar that they receive. The amendment that we're asking you to approve would allow the chancellor to set a lesser amount than 3-1 for the match for this program. By way of background for the new members of the board, the Student Success and Support Program was established by SB 1456, otherwise known as the Student Success Act of 2012, to implement several key recommendations of the Student Success Task Force that were adopted by the Board of Governors in December of 2011. The Student Success and Support Program guides the delivery of core services to entering students, specifically assessment for English and math placement, orientation to the college, and educational planning to help students identify their educational goal and chart a path to achieve it. The program also includes follow-up interventions for students who appear to be running into trouble academically to help get them back on track and to try to retain them to their successful completion of the program. The Student Success and Support Program represents an evolution of what used to be known as the matriculation program that was designed to provide the same kind of services. And the 3-to-1 match requirement is what was in place for credit funding in the matriculation program. It's typical for categorical programs to include some form of match requirement. And the reason for that is when new funds are provided by the state for a specific purpose, there's a state interest to make sure that districts aren't simply reducing district expenditures in that area and replacing it with the new state funding in that area. So the 3-to-1 match is a little bit unusual compared to other categorical programs, but given the fact that when the matriculation program was created, districts were already spending significant funds on things like admissions, orientation, assessment, counseling. So it was appropriate for the new categorical funds to be additive. But what we are experiencing now is a rather unusual funding history for this program. In 2009-10, the matriculation program was cut by 52%, and it remained at that reduced level until that funding was almost completely restored for this current year. And because the cuts were so severe, districts did what they could to try to prevent layoffs by moving funds around and trying to, and in many cases, replacing at least a portion of the categorical funds that were lost with district funds. And it's put them in a position where they are now having trouble, in many cases, identifying the necessary district funds to match the new categorical funding. And this will be an even greater problem next year because we're very happy that the governor's budget at least proposes doubling the program again next year with an additional $100 million. We're very pleased that that money will come to the system, but it makes the problem of identifying matching funds even greater. So Vice Chancellor Troy and I have been engaged in discussions with the leadership of the Chief Business Officers and the Chief Student Services Officers to look for a workable solution that would satisfy the state concern of the Department of Finance and the governor that the categorical funding be preserved for its intended purpose, while at the same time providing some flexibility to colleges so that they don't have to turn back money because they can't match it. We've discussed maintaining the match at 3-to-1 for the first $100 million of funding, and then reducing it perhaps to 2-to-1 for the next $100 million, and then anything over $200 million could require a match of 1-to-1. And even within that structure, we would offer an exception process so that districts that can demonstrate an inability to meet the match at those levels, we would be able to waive them and not require the same level of match. So we're in the midst of discussions about developing that process. In fact, one of my staff will be meeting, presenting to the Chief Business Officers at their association conference tomorrow, and is engaged in this discussion. So we're asking you to adopt this, we will be asking you to adopt it at your next meeting in July so that we can continue these discussions and reach a workable solution for the colleges for 2014-15. So with that, I would be glad to answer any questions you might have. Do you want to add anything?
I think just briefly, I'd add, I think Vice Chancellor Michalowski provided a great summary of the issue here and why we are seeking to change the regulation. I think just to provide a little context for the board, note that the colleges are just beginning now to climb out of a very, very significant fiscal downturn, in addition to the direct cuts to categorical programs that was mentioned by Vice Chancellor Michalowski, and the workload reductions to our campuses. The colleges also went 5 years without a cost of living adjustment, and over time that squeezes your discretionary resources quite considerably, reduces your purchasing power. So we're, as good times are coming back to the colleges in terms of financial resources, we are aware that continuing a 3-to-1 match on a program is difficult because the COLAs that we're receiving in the budgets of the current year and what's proposed for the budget year are still very modest and does not help the colleges recoup the lost purchasing power from the foregone COLAs. So we're very sensitive to the concerns of the chief business officials and CEOs who indicate that they might have trouble continuing to meet a 3-to-1 match as this program grows and grows in the future years.
Member Sumi.
First of all, thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Michalowski and Vice Chancellor Troy. Appreciate it, and very clear explanation. Just out of curiosity, more of a point of information, I know that, so you go from the 3-to-1 match to, in the attachment where we say it's going to be a lesser amount as determined by the Chancellor. Just out of curiosity, was there any discussion about, because that's a bit of an open-ended replacement, was there any discussion as to maybe a 2-to-1, I mean something that was more of an objective ratio, and why it was eventually determined that we should leave it a bit more open-ended based on the Chancellor's recommendation?
Yes, so the discussion has been to phase it in so that it would go to 2-to-1 for the second $100 million of funding, and then 1-to-1 after that. The reason we did not put that directly into the regulation, the main reason is that it's not entirely baked yet. We're in the course of making sure that that will work. We're actually planning to survey the colleges next week to help them walk through what those calculations would look like if we have a $100 million increase next year, and make sure that before we lock it into the regulations, we know we have something that will work. But the intent is to make it workable for the colleges and then maintain it at a stable level unless something extraordinary happens that would give us reason to have to change it again. The 3-to-1 match has been in place for almost 30 years, so it's not something that we anticipate changing frequently.
Okay, before we go to Member Belansky and Member Hawkins, Chancellor?
Member Zumi, I want to underscore your question. The flexibility we're suggesting be provided makes folks on both sides of that equation uncomfortable. In fact, the field is a little worried about allowing us that flexibility because they're afraid we might drive that number up too high. And then, of course, as you can imagine, others worry that we might drive it too low. Our role really is the middle person between the administration and finance on the one hand, who'd like to see that number as high as we could set it because they want to ensure these are all new dollars, and the field who'd like to see that number set as low as possible so that they can manage their finances. As Vice Chancellor Michalowski has pointed out, and Vice Chancellor Troy, we're in a really rough patch here coming out of a tough period financially. And so we really, in addition to still having a lot of conversation, not only about the ratio of the match, but about what qualifies and what doesn't for the match, that's why we're asking for the flexibility. The other thing that neither of these folks have mentioned is that the 50% law plays heavily into these dollars. And if that match requirement has to come from one side of the 50% law, it can cause the institution to go out of balance. And so that's why we're doing the survey and trying to really build the railroad car as it's going down the track. So we normally would not ask for this flexibility, but this is a really critical program at a critical time, and that's why we're being a little bit more open-ended.
Thank you. Member Belansky?
Just a couple of questions. The match is by district and not by college, correct?
Correct.
And given what has happened in the past that I had forgotten about and somebody reminded me this morning, when these funds, student success funds, are sent to the district, but it will say what the college has earned.
Correct.
Will the district still have the ability to change the amount that they give to each college?
For this program, we have historically allowed districts to move funds among the colleges, yes. And also, there are some things on which the district may spend a portion of the allocation where it can provide efficiency across the district. Those things require approval, however.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I think that that might be looked at in the survey or something about the equity of that in some districts about moving the funds between the colleges. And the only other thing that I'd like to ask, which is indirectly related, it's about the student success thing. The plans are due in October, I think.
Yes, they are.
Will somebody be looking at those to make sure that what is they're suggesting they will spend the funds on really are core services?
Yes, we've talked about perhaps convening some peer review groups to look at those plans as they come in.
That'd be a great idea.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Member Hawkins?
Thank you. Given the, as Bryce was just saying, the gravity of the situation, if you will, other areas of Ed Code require a Board of Governors waiver. Why wasn't it going to come to the board as opposed to going to the chancellor? Not that I'm in disagreement with this, I'm just curious if that was looked at all.
I don't know that we have talked about bringing every request to the Board of Governors.
We do bring you exceptions to some of the major legislation like the 50% law or the FON.
Both of which I was thinking of.
Yeah, I wouldn't think this rises to that level. However, if you as a board would prefer to approve those exceptions yourself, we certainly can bring them to you.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay. We have just concluded the first reading of the proposed amendments to Section 55518 of Title V of the California Code of Regulations regarding Student Success Program match funding. We will now begin the public hearing for the receipt of comments concerning the proposed action. Prior to adoption of the proposed amendment to Section 55518, we will consider and respond to these comments as well as those written comments received during the comment period which ends on June 23rd, 2014.
Any public comment?
Public comment?
I have no comment cards either.
This concludes the public hearing. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the first reading of Enrollment Priorities 2014, Item 3.2. This item requests a proposed change to California Code of Regulations Title 5, Section 58108.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. I will turn this one to Linda again. Remind you that you do not take action today, and there will be a public hearing following your conversation. Linda?
And once again, our General Counsel, Michelle Goldberg, is on standby in case there are questions that we need her to help answer. At your September 2012 meeting, you adopted regulations that established for the first time statewide enrollment priorities. These regulations, again, were to implement recommendations made by the Student Success Task Force. Their overarching intent is to ensure that students who are enrolling for the purpose of receiving a degree, a certificate, transfer, or for career advancement, and who are making progress towards one of those goals are able to get the classes that they need to pursue their educational experience. This came about during a time when the budgets of the colleges had been reduced very significantly, and there were students all over the state who were unable to enroll in a community college and get a single course. So that's not the situation facing the system for most of the state right now, but it is something that could occur again in the future, and we wanted to help make sure that those priorities were in place to protect access for students pursuing an objective that is part of our core mission as a system. In addition, as we looked for ways to help communicate to students the importance of taking seriously their opportunity to enroll in the community colleges and helping them to focus on identifying and pursuing an educational goal, this is a critical part of that equation. And so I think the board was very pleased to adopt its regulations. there are two reasons why the regulations are brought back to you for modification. First, at the time the board adopted the regulations, there were only two groups that by statute were entitled to enrollment priority. One was active duty military and certain veterans, and the other was current and former foster youth who meet certain criteria. So in your regulations, those groups were slated for highest priority as long as they meet requirements that will now apply to all incoming students, that they go through orientation, assessment, and develop at least a preliminary education plan to get them off on the right track. And those groups were subject to requirements for continuing students that they not experience 2 consecutive semesters of academic and or progress probation. And those definitions have been in Title V regulations for many, many years. A student goes on academic probation if after accumulating 12 units, their cumulative GPA is less than a 2.0. And a student goes on progress probation, again, once they've passed the 12-unit threshold, if their cumulative course completion percentage is less than 50%. So for a student who goes on probation for 2 consecutive terms for either of those reasons would now be subject to the loss of enrollment priority unless there are provisions for students to appeal that loss and to have the enrollment priority be restored based on extenuating circumstances, and districts are required to adopt policies that would control for the restoration of enrollment priority. The second reason, so those 2 groups were given top ranking once they meet those conditions. Very shortly after the board adopted those regulations, legislation was introduced and enacted that provided enrollment priority to EOPS students and to DSP&S students. So that occurred, and almost simultaneously, the Budget Act for the current year added students receiving services from CalWORKs to the groups with statutory enrollment priority. So as a result, these regulations ask you to list all 5 of those statutory categories in the first rank.
Linda, I'm sorry, remind the board what EOPS and DSPS.
I will do that. EOPS is Extended Opportunity Programs and Services. It provides counseling and other supplemental support services for students who are disadvantaged either by economics, by language, and by educational attainment. And then DSPS is Disabled Student Programs and Services that provides accommodations and support services for students with disabilities. And CalWORKs is for recipients of state CalWORKs benefits, TANF benefits, who are enrolled in the community colleges. The other reason we're bringing this change to you is that subsequent to adoption of the enrollment priority regulations, we brought to you and you adopted regulations to place academic conditions on continued receipt of a Board of Governors enrollment fee waiver for the first time. So the same requirement that a student not experience 2 consecutive semesters of academic or progress probation now applies to continued receipt of the Board of Governors enrollment fee waiver. And in adopting those regulations, a decision was made to exempt current and former foster youth from the loss of priority. And so these regulations extend that same exemption to current and former foster youth so that they would be treated the same under the enrollment priority regulations as under the BOG fee waiver regulations. And I suspect there may be questions, which I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Yes, Member Belansky.
I asked these with you privately, but I'll ask it publicly. We're also changing the terminology from, I don't know, first-time student or whatever it was, and continuing student to first-time and then not first-time. And so my question was, will that be captured on CCC Apply? And I think you said it would be.
Well, we have we can determine who is a first-time student and who is not a first-time student based on the information that we collect through CCC Apply. I don't know exactly how we will phrase the question or whether we even need to actually ask the question, because we can see the students' enrollment history from the information that they provide. And so
I may have to go into that a little more at some other point, because I don't know if every college has that sophistication to pull that out to say that this is a first-time student, and this is a student who has gone to some other college, some other university. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where if the question said you're a first-time student, never been to college, not a first-time student, it would be much more direct and capture immediately the information then that needs to be passed on to counselors. Anyway.
A first-time student is defined as a first-time student in that district. So in most cases, a district information system is going to be able to determine whether the student has already enrolled at a college in the district.
So let me ask, not a first-time student is not a first-time student only in the district?
That is the requirement. If a college has the capacity, they can look at prior enrollment elsewhere, but the requirement only applies to that district.
Okay.
Because we don't yet have the capacity system-wide to identify all previous enrollments.
Because I didn't read it that way. Thank you.
Vice President Baum?
I'm not. Can I ask a couple more? Go ahead. I asked this question too. First-time students who are foster youth do have to go through the core services, correct?
Yes.
So we're not making an exception there, just so that that's out there. And are there any kind of programs, because we don't have this kind of thing at my college, that are specifically directed at working with foster youth or former foster youth? And part of the reason I ask that is because one of the things we've learned from the Student Success Act, we knew it before, but the Act forced us into acknowledging it. And one of the things that's come about from the research of the RP group is the success factors. I even brought the chart because I wanted to remind myself about the success factors. And how do we ensure, you know, that those success factors are there for foster youth, that former foster youth, as we are trying to for these other groups? And that's a concern of mine, not that we don't make exceptions, but at the same time that we don't say that this group isn't important enough not to provide this kind of outreach within the college to engage the student.
I think you make a very good point, and it's one that we discussed at some length with the various advocates for foster youth who requested the exemption. We, our intent in adopting all of these regulations is not to take away anyone's enrollment priority, but it's to find every way that we can to help students stay on track and to make sure that colleges are focusing their support services on students who may be at risk and to, help them be successful in their continued enrollment until they reach their objectives. So I think you make a very good point. We, the state legislation that provided enrollment priority for foster youth sunsets in 2017. And we committed to looking at the data on how students persist, whether they're foster youth or not foster youth, whether they're subject to these requirements or not, and to taking another look at it in 2017 when we have the opportunity to reauthorize the legislation and can perhaps address the regulations again at that time as well.
Thank you, Member Belansky. Chancellor, do you have something to add?
Well, I just want to say, because we have some new members on the board, This is not a step we took lightly. We really are under threat of litigation, and legal counsel told us we were very likely to lose that litigation. We don't necessarily believe this is in the best interest of foster youth, but because of the very question you ask. But occasionally, we get to do things that we aren't 100% supportive of because that's the way the code's written, and it is written differently for foster youth than for other groups. So we don't. We are committed to looking at this over the next couple of years, and in 2017, if the data shows what we fear that it will, we certainly hope to get this undone.
Vice President Baum.
Just a couple of quick questions. When we adopted these regulations, we wanted to increase access, and we found that there's a lot of people that were, a lot of students were bottlenecking in the system, and we wanted to get them through and out, and because a lot of students coming out of high school were not finding seats available, and then we were losing them to the system. We also capped enrollment priority for if a student exceeded a certain number of units, correct? So how does it work if I fall into one of these preferred categories, but I've gotten 95 plus units already? Do I, if I'm EOPS, do I still get it to maintain priority, or how does that work?
No, foster youth are also exempt from the 100-unit cap, but all other students, if they accumulate 100 degree-applicable units, so that is exempting most basic skills and ESL units from the limit. But once students achieve 100 units, they also lose enrollment priority. I should have mentioned that
No matter
earlier.
what category, except for foster youth,
right.
too.
That's correct.
And I just want to state for the record, I share that. I think, my colleagues share, we want to remove as many obstacles to foster youth as possible, but I wouldn't want to continue to pursue a path that doesn't give them incentives to succeed as well. And because I think when we set academic performance requirements, that does actually encourage and promote more academic achievement and progress for students that they may not have otherwise. And when the legislature begins to add category after category of priority, it begins to kind of just remove any opportunity for any meaningful prioritization and dilutes it so much. The last thing I want to make sure is that local districts still have some autonomy internally once these requirements, statutory requirements, are met, to set some priorities. So in my district, for example, we did see a lot of high school kids graduating without having a seat at the table, and so we began to prioritize high school first-time graduates of area high schools into a priority behind these additional categories. Is that still the case, that local districts will have some autonomy to create priorities?
Yeah, the overarching requirements are for first-time students that they go through the upfront student success services, right, and for continuing students that they not exceed the 100 units and that they not be on 2 consecutive terms of probation. Other than that, once these groups, the 5 groups are taken first, colleges have complete discretion in districts to adopt their own policies on how to prioritize.
Because what it's led to at the local level is students are now completing their plans. They're getting into what we call a pathways program that is actually yielding very tangible success benefits, and that these students are getting in, getting what they need, and getting out, making room for the next generation right after that.
Member Sumner?
My only question was with the veterans, because sometimes you have the veterans that move around a lot, that from different states. So, it's like first time. So that was a concern. Is that going to be taken away? Because they may start somewhere, they may get up, they may move, they may start dealing with some of their issues. They may not have self-identified as a veteran. So I can see where a veteran could fit into a couple of these, from being disabled and plus, being a vet. So that sort of concerned me a little bit.
Right. Well, it's the first time in that district, so a veteran is going to have priority as long as they take advantage of the services. And many of those services are available to veterans anyway. The education planning for veterans is very comprehensive.
Yes,
so.
it is. It's not easy.
Any other questions, discussion? Member Belansky?
Just to follow up, because I don't necessarily see applied well enough. Does it ask if a person's a veteran?
It does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is another way to capture the data and get the student in. Priorities.
Any other discussion, questions?
Any question?
Member Van Loon?
Are all students eligible for this appeals process if they experience 2 consecutive semesters of academic probation, like the foster youth are?
I'm sorry, are they eligible for the what process?
The appeals process.
So all students must have the ability to appeal the loss of priority, and then a decision is made on a case-by-case basis based on that student's circumstances.
Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, we have just concluded the first reading of the proposed amendments to Section 58108 of Title V of the California Code of Regulations regarding enrollment priorities. We will now begin the public hearing for the receipt of comments concerning the proposed action. Prior to adoption of the proposed amendment to Section 58108, we will consider and respond to these comments, as well as those written comments received during the comment period, which ends on June 23rd, 2014. Vice President Baum, are there any?
I've received no comment cards.
This concludes the public hearing. We'll now move on to information. Thank you, Vice Chancellor Michalowski. We'll now move on to information reports. Foundation for California Community Colleges regional statewide resources for students, colleges, college foundations, and the system. This item represents information about the variety of ways the Foundation for California Community Colleges works to provide direct support and savings to students, colleges, college foundations, and the system.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. It's a pleasure to introduce not only the executive director of the foundation, but the president of the board. So I'll turn it over to Keitha and let you take it from there.
Thank you, Chancellor Harris, President Baca, members of the board. We're happy to talk with you today about the great work that's happening at the foundation. Before I jump into the presentation, I would like to introduce and turn it over to Patty Sullivan, who is the board chair for the Foundation for California Community Colleges, to make a few opening remarks.
Thanks, Keitha. President Baca, Vice President Baum, Chancellor Harris, members of the board, Vice Chancellors. Very happy to be here today. Keitha is going to share with you an overview of all of our programs and services. There's a lot of information, a lot to digest, but really critical to understand the breadth of services that we provide to the students, to the foundations at the community colleges, to the colleges themselves, and to the system. At last time I was here, I told you that we were going through and kicking off a strategic planning process. We're just completing our last 5-year strategic plan. Keitha has really taken a hold of that with her staff. We've had a committee from our board participating on that, and I'm pleased to say that we'll be presenting at your next Board of Governors meeting that strategic plan. As part of that, we are having somewhat of a shift of focus from what we do as the Foundation for California Community Colleges and shifting it to what the benefit is at the various constituencies. So what you're going to see today from Keitha is somewhat of a shift of, instead of us talking about here's the program we do around fiscal sponsorships or procurement programs, et cetera, instead you're going to start to see that shift of what do we do for students? What do we do for colleges? What do we do for the system, et cetera? And so we're in a bit of a transition with that, but I think that you'll start to see that it'll be easier for you to articulate to the community college constituencies that you interact with what the value and the benefit of the foundation is and how we support the various programs that the system office offers. So thank you for your attention, and I'll turn it back over to Keitha.
Great, thanks, Patty. So I will be speaking from this PowerPoint entitled Regional and Statewide Resources. And I want to start and just give just a little bit in general about the foundation. So we are the official auxiliary nonprofit supporting the California Community Colleges Board of Governors and Chancellor's Office. And in that role, our mission is to benefit, support, and enhance the community college system as a whole. So the programs and services that we offer really work to support all 112 colleges, 72 districts, our local college foundations, and faculty, staff, and students statewide. So our mission is very broad, and the work that we do is very broad as well. And our focus is on trying to find projects and support that either support the entire statewide system or that support regional conglomerates of colleges. We run a number of programs, as we've talked about, and they, when you just kind of list them out here, and this isn't not all of them, but these are our key programs and services, they may seem very diverse. And so what I'm going to try to do as I walk through them is try to create that common thread of how do these all fit together, and how do we work to build upon some of our core strengths at the foundation and some of the key initiatives that are happening at the Board of Governors level and the Chancellor's office level. So I want to start with student success. So we've heard about student success this morning. We were instrumental in the initial fundraising that funded the Student Success Task Force back several years ago. And in 2012, when the task force issued the 22 recommendations, we officially named Student Success as our flagship fundraising initiative. And so our role in Student Success is to really work alongside the Chancellor and his staff in helping carry the banner of student success. We look to leverage partnerships, so really try to pull together and act as a hub for existing organizations that are out there doing student success efforts, and create new partnerships for student success, and really to help progress the implementation of the key recommendations. From a partnership perspective, we've raised over $2 million through our fiscal sponsor partners, and there's a number of them here, including the Research and Planning Group for California Community Colleges, the California Community College Guidance Initiative, and CalPass Plus. From our own kind of fundraising efforts, we've raised an additional over $2 million in direct support that funds a number of projects. And all in all, if you were to add up everything that we've been able to raise from inception of the project through current date, we've been able to bring in an additional about $5 million to support student success efforts. So it's been a key initiative of ours. Our current funding helps build capacity, again, to establish that hub for student success activities. And then there are two discrete projects that I'll touch on. One is the Priorities Project, and the second is a statewide Student Success Center. This next slide is a snapshot of a website. This is the website for the Priorities Project. So we heard Vice Chancellor Linda Michalowski talk about the new priorities for student enrollment. And so our role in that, we really don't get involved in the regulations or policy development, but once regulation or policy development occurs, what we try to do is how can we fit in to help get the word out and help students understand what the new roles are. So this is the Step Forward campaign. This is an integrated website and technology tool that will help students understand what the new rules are. It also comes with a public awareness campaign. We've worked very collaboratively with Vice Chancellor Paul Feast and the communications team at the Chancellor's office, as well as Linda Michalowski and Vice Chancellor Patrick Perry. This website integrates with CCC Apply, so when students come into CCC Apply and enroll at their college, when they get to a certain point in their enrollment online, it will push them onto this website, and they will learn more about, okay, what do I have to do to stay first in line for enrollment. This website is very new. It was just recently funded by the Kresge Foundation. We've been working over the last year to build out the tools and collateral material, and we expect it to roll out at the end of this month. So coming soon to a college near you. The other exciting news related to student success is a recent award to establish a statewide Student Success Center. This, again, is kind of establishing that hub at the statewide level for really greater, even more collaboration around the state around student success. This particular project is, of course, led by the Chancellor's office in partnership with the foundation, and we have a really broad group of constituents that are working with us on this project, including the Community College League of California, the Academic Senate of California Community Colleges, and again, the Research and Planning Group of the California Community Colleges. This one, we're really proud of this win. It's not a ton of money. It's about $500,000 over 2 years, but it was a big win from the national perspective. This grant comes from the Kresge Foundation in partnership with Jobs for the Future. It was a very competitive grant. They received over 20 applications, and California was one of 3 that was awarded the grant. So it not only helps us forward the great work that we're already doing and help us continue kind of the momentum behind student success, but it gives us a seat at the table nationally, where we're joining a national network of other states who are also embarking on student success. This was another hugely collaborative effort with the chancellor and his staff in securing this award, and we look forward to more great things to come from the center. So in addition to student success, workforce development has been something that's been core to the Foundation's operations since our inception in 1998. And you can see here a significant list of programs and activities that we're involved in related to workforce development. Probably our longest standing program is our Career Pathway Internship Placement Program, and this is one that we've operated since our inception. This is a unique program that's funded, it's a fee-for-service program that's really funded through partnerships with the business community. And through this program, we've trained over 3,000 college students in employment opportunities at a variety of public and private employer locations. And that includes over 120 students at the Foundation and in the Chancellor's office. And one of my favorite stories is my current Vice President of Program Development, who's really kind of my second in command, started as a student assistant in our Career Pathway Internship Placement Program, working for the Chancellor's office, and has worked his way up. He ultimately gained his MBA and is now a vice president at the Foundation. So not only are we helping build the pipeline for employers throughout the state, but we're also building our own pipeline here at the Foundation and with the Chancellor's office. Just a few words about the internship placement program. This is a huge area of growth for us, so I want to spend a couple of minutes on it. This particular program, of course, is really important to our students. These students are working, they're placed in real world work experiences. They get a little extra cash to stay in school to pay for books, so these are paid internships. These students are getting a broader professional network, so they're starting to build their network earlier. And most of these students do end up in full-time employment, either at the place of location where they had their internship, or other employers who see that internship is really, really valuable to that student's experience. From the employer perspective, and really this is what makes this program work, or that we have to have really solid partnerships with with employers from throughout the state. What we do for employers is try to take all the back office hassle off of them providing student internships. So we do all of the comprehensive back office human resources. We have a number of partnerships with colleges. Not only do we partner with all 112 community colleges throughout the state, but we also have partnerships with the UCs and CSUs. So when we partner with an employer, we can really, it's one-stop shopping. So whether they're looking for an entry-level student or a graduate-level student, they can partner with us and we can help them source that student. So what we're trying to do with our employers is to reduce the barriers so that they can create more internship and more work-based learning opportunities for our students. It is fee for service, but the fee that we're able to provide this service, that is really a fraction of what they would pay a private, for-profit recruiting type service. LaunchPath is a recently funded program that continues to build off of Career Pathway. So I talked about Career Pathway. We have operated since 1998, so it's been really kind of a core competency of the Foundation. And something that we're trying to build on and continue to expand and really take it to scale. So the LaunchPath project was recently funded from a grant from JP Morgan Chase Global Philanthropy Board. And this is a great example of, again, not only just a national funding opportunity, but this was a global funding opportunity that we went out and competed for and brought additional dollars into California. And it's one of their more significant investments under this initiative. So J.P. Morgan Chase is investing in our career pathway program, helping us better connect to more employers, helping us build out additional tools to really expand our back office support and take it to scale, and then help us build a technology tool that again is meant to try to scale the program. So it's a matching technology tool where students will be able to go in and put in their profile, employers will be able to go in and put in open opportunities, and the system will help provide that kind of initial screening and matching process. There's also a badging piece of this as well, where students will be able to receive electronic badges for different skill sets and different experiences that they get along the way. This partnership is not only exciting because it helps us build on what we've already been doing, but it's created an additional partnership for us as well. So we're partnered with the Link Learning Alliance with this initiative, which is a K-12 initiative, where a core competency of the Link Learning Alliance is ensuring through K-12 that the students receive rigorous academic experience coupled with work-based learning. So the Link Learning Alliance is focused on making sure that the students in high school understand how what I'm learning in algebra is going to relate to what I'm going to ultimately do in the workplace. And a big part of that is work-based learning. So we've partnered with the Link Learning Alliance to take the infrastructure that we've built out through the Career Pathway program and try to provide more work-based learning experiences for high school students. So we're building out that continuum. So not only are we scaling to provide more work-based learning and paid internships for our community college students, but we're backing up the pipeline and trying to ensure that we hit the 11th and 12th graders as well as they come into our system. So in connection with that partnership, we've also been awarded another set of grant funds to manage what's called the Community College Link Learning Initiative. So we've got J.P. Morgan helping to fund the back office support to help provide work-based learning experiences. And then we've received additional funding to help manage the work that's happening out at the campuses. So our role in the Link Learning Initiative will be a coordinator and again a collaborator and really creating a hub for work that needs to happen at the campus level to ensure that the pathways are being built and that the students are obtaining these experiences. Another important program that we run that serves students is our Air Quality Technician Training Program. And I always, when I talk about the foundation, I say we have a very diverse set of operations. I said it in orientation this morning. We do everything from perform smog checks to provide student scholarships. And it's very diverse. This is a really great partnership and an example of an instance where a state agency is required to provide a service to the public. So the Bureau of Automotive Repair is required to provide the smog check referee services to the public. They don't really have the infrastructure to provide that service, nor do they want to build it out. So they came to us and said, you know what, we want to partner with the California community colleges. You have the infrastructure, you have facilities in our key communities, and you have automotive training programs there that have the right facilities and student training programs. So the Bureau of Automotive Repair has contracted with the foundation. We then go out and contract with 30 community college campuses throughout the state. We lease space that is alongside their automotive training program, and then we run a student training program in connection with this service that is provided to the public. So we are able to employ students that work alongside registered smog check technicians. So not only are they getting that experience with someone who's got their certificate, but they're also serving the public. So they're getting that public customer service experience as well. So we've trained over 1,000 students since inception of this program. And not only are the students getting really great work-based learning experiences, but in many cases, we've worked with the colleges to also provide those students with college credit associated with that experience. Nursing is another program that we've operated since 2004. This is a great program and a great example of building a program with philanthropic funds So we partnered with the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, where they provided philanthropic funds to build out a matching program that matches nurses into clinical placement settings. After we built out that program and piloted it here in California, we then built out a fee-for-service business model where it's now a sustainable program that is no longer funded through philanthropy, but is funded through a fee-for-service business model that we've marketed not only in California but statewide, and that helps us, nationwide. So we have markets, 8 national markets. We work with almost 180 nursing schools throughout the nation, in addition to the almost 60 schools of nursing and clinical agency sites here in California. And through this program, we've placed almost 140,000 nursing students in California and almost 500,000 nursing students statewide. So it's a great example of bringing philanthropy into the system and then trying to turn it into a sustainable business model going forward. We also operate a number of other student services programs that are very heavily coordinated with Vice Chancellor Linda Michalowski and her team, where we operate programs that serve foster youth. We have a student mental health program, and we also run programs that serve veterans and provide additional veteran services. These are examples of funding that come in through either state or philanthropic sources. We partner with the Chancellor's Office, where most times on these programs, about half the staff work for the foundation, about half the staff work for the Chancellor's Office, and we're able to provide more flexible services to the colleges to provide more access for these students. Student scholarships. So this is the thing that most people think this is what we do. We do student scholarships. And I'm very happy to report that we do operate a student scholarship program. And this program was really just recently made possible in 2008 by the Bernard Osher Foundation, where the Osher Foundation made a historic gift to the system, a $25 million gift, which then started a statewide fundraising campaign where all 112 colleges participated in a fundraising campaign to create a statewide scholarship endowment. Through this effort, it was a 3-year effort. We raised almost $70 million as a system. That fund is now providing about $3.5 million of scholarships every year. It'll be there in perpetuity. It's a permanently restricted endowment. We manage it at the statewide level. It benefits all 112 colleges, so students from all 112 colleges benefit from this program. And it's a great example of taking local fundraising that's happening, maybe $100,000, maybe $1 million at a time out in the system, and aggregating that into a central pool so you get bigger bang for your buck, and you're able to more efficiently manage those funds. The initiative created by the Osher Foundation really created a lot of opportunity, I think, for the system. I think it was the first time that the system had banded together on a fundraising campaign kind of as a system, and that came with its own challenges. But it created, one of the parameters that the Oshers put on the fund was that the local colleges can do their local fundraising. The fundraising that the local colleges do can retain their assets, so they retain ownership of that fundraising. They'll get matching dollars that go along with that local fundraising, but all of those funds have to be centrally deposited into a statewide fund. So we're now managing an endowment fund that totals over $80 million that has ownership interest of all 112 colleges. So it really gave us the opportunity to build out this robust infrastructure at the statewide level, so that we're providing investment management services through partnership with J.P. Morgan. You'll notice J.P. Morgan, I talked about J.P. Morgan earlier. They're also funding us for workforce development. So it built that, kind of integrated relationship where not only are they a service provider, but now they're a significant funder. But this is a terrific opportunity where there is the opportunity to provide a more robust statewide service here as it relates to investment management services. A number of our college foundations may have smaller funds, other smaller funds outside of the Osher endowment, that there could be an opportunity here to invest at the statewide level, save money on investment management services, improve investment returns when you're investing $500,000, your investment options are much different if you're investing, $80 million. So a lot of opportunity here, and this is going to be something that you'll see in our strategic plan that we'll be focused on moving forward about how to better leverage that. The other way that we support foundations is really through the network of California Community College Foundations. And the network is a separate 501c3 membership organization that's been around since 1985. And it's a membership organization that's made up of all of the executive directors at the local level. So generally, our local colleges and local college districts will have their own separate foundation that they're doing more traditional fundraising in their community. So they're doing more of the one-on-one asks or raising money kind of specifically for their college. So it's really important to us that we don't compete with what's happening at the local level. So whatever we do, we need to make sure that it supports what they're doing and maybe supplements what they're doing, but doesn't compete or cannibalize the fundraising that they're doing. So we work really closely with this organization. They have a separate board really focused on leadership development with the foundation executive directors, and then opportunities for kind of raising the profile for really philanthropy within the community colleges. If you look at the statistics around how much money is being raised at the UCs and CSUs, and then you compare that to the dollars that are being raised in the community colleges, we have a lot of work to do here. So the work that we do with the network is really important, I think, longer term to trying to raise the bar for philanthropy in our California community colleges. College Buys is another really important program that we've run really since inception. This is another entrepreneurial fee-for-service business where this program is really built to take advantage of the aggregate purchasing power of the system as a whole. So if you've got 112 community colleges that are out there all buying their own chairs and their own tables and negotiating their own contracts for these things, you get much less purchasing power than if you can band together and bring all 112 colleges together to make the larger purchases. So that's what this program really strives to do. The majority of our contracts are public contract code compliant, which means that we go through the RFP process at the statewide level, and the contracts are piggybackable, so that the colleges can then just piggyback onto our contract and not have to go through their own RFP process. So not only are we able to drive down prices, we're also able to most times improve quality and improve service with the vendors, but we're also able to save a lot of time and resources at the college level so that they don't have to spend their time and resources going through their own RFP process. We have a number of offerings here in College Buys. Technology is a significant offering. We have a great deal with Microsoft where our students, faculty, staff can get Microsoft Office for $40. You can't get it cheaper anywhere else. So it's a screaming deal. We have offerings with Adobe, and we also have a 4G internet offering as well. There's a website associated with College Buys where folks can go on and kind of choose, okay, am I a student, am I an institution, am I a faculty, staff, and then what offerings are available to me. So we have really outstanding technology related to this program. And then there are a number of offerings where we really try to work with the purchasing professionals at the campus level and understand what are your needs, what are you having trouble negotiating, and where can we come in and help. So we work with Office Depot on bulk purchasing. And then when we work with our vendors, we try to kind of mesh this, okay, you're a vendor and we want the best deal and the best quality to buy from you, but we also want a philanthropic commitment from you as well. So Office Depot is a great example of not only were we able to drive down prices, but the colleges are able to get a 1% rebate on everything that they buy that then is unrestricted funding for the colleges. We have contracts with Xerox and Konica Minolta for copier and print services. This is one that the colleges say that they're very difficult to, it's very complicated and it's very difficult to negotiate contracts on copy or print, and so we came in and negotiated one at the statewide level. FedBid is an interesting product where it allows vendors to actually bid on college purchases. So FedBid is a platform that is an option for colleges for purchases that fall below the public contract code requirements, and the vendors actually bid to try to drive their own prices down. Furniture, fixtures, equipment, and flooring, that was the first one that I mentioned. It's been our longest standing product line, and it's something that is used widely by our colleges, especially when they have bond money. Rather than going through their own RFP process, they're able to use a pretty wide selection of offerings through College Buys. This is another program where we work with our vendors to receive a rebate, and that rebate goes to the scholarship endowment that I talked about earlier. So all of these vendors not only, again, drive down prices, improve quality, improve service, but also provide a philanthropic contribution to the system. Fusion is a program, again, like our scholarship program, that benefits all 112 colleges. And we heard from Assistant Vice Chancellor Fred Harris a little bit earlier. Really sad to see Fred move on, but excited for his new opportunity. I've heard Fusion described as Fred's brain. So he lives among a number of legacies that Fred leaves behind at the Chancellor's office. Fusion is one of them. This is a fantastic technology tool that all 112 colleges participate in. It's a facilities assessment tool. So we have assessors that go out and basically tour the facilities and kind of assess the state of facilities. All of that information statewide is being aggregated into this technology tool, and then we're able to produce reports at the statewide level that say, okay, here are our top facilities that are really in need of maintenance or rebuilding or kind of whatever the issue is. So it takes our mammoth system and really kind of boils it down into something that is really more usable. And we've secured this system has helped secure about $22 billion in state and local capital construction bonds for the system. And so kind of moving to the, kind of our system-wide support, and I've talked a little bit about this. So we work with a number of kind of corporate funders and philanthropic funders, but we're really looking for funders that are wanting to make a significant impact either statewide or regionally with groups of colleges. Again, really important that we not compete with what's happening at the local level. And when we build a relationship with, kind of a corporate funder or a philanthropic funder, we're really looking to build a relationship that is kind of multi-level. So you heard about our vendors. As we're working with vendors, do they have a foundation that we could also be introduced to? Does the vendor have corporate giving? And how do we kind of leverage the relationship in a more holistic way? We operate the statewide Chancellor Circle, where Chancellor Harris and I travel throughout the state and visit a number of colleges. This is, again, a great opportunity to solicit corporate gifts, where we highlight key contributors to the system. It gets us out to the campuses, understanding what's happening, at the campus level. It also gets our significant supporters in front of the colleges as well. This particular activity is one that helps support the direct funding that we provide to the Chancellor's office that provides funding to do things like when Chancellor Harris needs to go to D.C. and that's unable to be funded through state funds. There is a fund at the foundation that's held for things like that, so that the Chancellor and his staff can do things, and the Board of Governors can do things that they may not otherwise be able to fund through state funds. And finally, we offer fiscal sponsorship services, and this service is really important in creating partnerships. So we have a number of kind of brother and sister organizations throughout the system that are doing really great things in support of the colleges. And many of them are maybe small programs or maybe small separately organized 501c3s, and they may not have the robust infrastructure and back office to do the great work. They're really focused on, I'm doing great work in the system. I don't have a good accountant or a good IT system. So they will partner with us so that we'll provide all of their back office support services so that those programs can be out there really doing the great work that they're focused on doing. A couple of things, it helps us kind of really gain terrific economies of scale because we are a $40 million organization, and so we have to have that, robust infrastructure to run our business, and then we're able to leverage it to help others. It also keeps these partners, closer and better connected to what's happening at the statewide level at the Chancellor's office, so that we're all kind of moving in a common direction. And I love this slide at the end because this is, I think, sort of sums up what we're all about, really leveraging our partnerships. This is a quote from Chancellor Doug Houston, who's the Chancellor at Yuba Community College District, and it was published in Comstocks. It's a little old now. It was back from February 2012. But Chancellor Houston says, rural community colleges in California are in peril right now, especially the small single college districts. For small college districts, there's all this administrative structure necessary to run a college, but no way to spread the costs or enjoy economies of scale. And I thought that really summed up a lot of kind of who we are and what we do. We want to try to create economies of scale for the system. We want to create options for the system to save money and utilize that scale as much as possible. So thank you for your time. I know this was a lot. We are a very complicated organization, and I really look forward to working with all of you and sharing more about the great work that we do in partnership with the Chancellor's Office.
Thank you, Keith and Patty, and this just points out all of the work that you do and that are engaged in. So great work. Thank you very much.
If I can just add,
Sure.
President Baca, that hopefully this will spark some ideas as you've seen this overview of various either funding opportunities, collaboration. I think I didn't count the number of times that Keith has said partner or partnerships, but there were many. We can't do this on our own, but we are an enabler to help bring resources to the community college system. So hopefully if you have any ideas or thoughts, you could contact either one of us.
Any questions, Vice President Baum?
First, thank you for the presentation, and it actually did spark a number of things. And I was attending a presentation about a month ago from a gentleman named Peter Taylor, who is the Executive Vice Chancellor of the UC system. That week, he was also announcing he's taking a job to head a foundation. But at the same time, he had indicated that when we were talking about community colleges, how perhaps there's an intersegmental leveraging that can be done in procurement. And was eager to pursue that. And I don't know if there has been ever any conversations along that level or not, or if it is something that we would want to encourage or possibly explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been conversations along those lines, and I know that Chancellor Harris has been working very closely with the heads of the other two segments on a number of initiatives, that being one of them. So I think it's something that we're absolutely interested in, and hope that we can kind of continue that conversation with the, we have a robust program that's been operating. There are likely ways that we can partner together. College buys may not be the end-all be-all solution, but maybe one of a number of solutions where we can work together.
He just seemed to think there could be some, as he looked at his internal structure, probably because we're much bigger in the amount of volume in some ways too, that would benefit them, but I think us as well. Number two, I thought of all the work Van's doing and doing what works, and I saw the auto technician, the auto air quality technician certification. Are you guys talking to say, are there other areas where require not necessarily a degree, but also short training certification that we could then connect with that with, I don't know, notaries or things like that?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that question. We, since Chancellor Von Quinlivan has come on board, we have worked really hard to get very closely integrated with the work that she's doing with doing what matters for jobs in the economy. We've been named a technical assistance provider under the Doing What Matters framework. So we're there at the table as the infrastructure is being built out and the work is happening at the colleges. And then with the new investment through the Link Learning funding, that funding is really meant to create more discrete pipelines and really get down into the priority and emerging sectors by region and create kind of distinct pipelines between K-12 and community college. So I think we'll get more and more involved from a really kind of a coordinator perspective for the work that will be done, at the local college and regional level. But I really appreciate the partnership with Vice Chancellor Von Quinlivan, and it's been really, I think, lucrative on both parts, because we've been able to bring a longstanding service to her newly built infrastructure, and then she's been able to kind of bring us more contacts and more employer engagement and that sort of thing. So it's been a great partnership.
Well, with all the statewide regulation, it would seem like a natural fit to continue to pursue that. My last one is then, is there a conflict in the contracts that we award, whether it's for multimedia services or things like that, that would prohibit the foundation from being a source of work, contracted work that we award, each board?
That's a good question, and I don't know that I explicitly know the answer to that, but that's something that I can, I'll talk to the team about what the requirements are for the Chancellor's office using some of our contracts. Now, I do know that the Microsoft deal that I talked about, it is available for all of you, so if you're in the market for Microsoft, call me, I can help you out. But I'm not sure about products and service, other kind of products and services.
Right, I was just thinking, you had done web development, for example. I remember seeing that Step Forward campaign. That was very well done. There's other programs that we might, but anyway, so I was just wondering.
Good question.
But since we are so integrated in the support you provide to the Chancellor,
I think those discussions go on quite regularly between Keith and all of the Vice Chancellors. And there have been times when the Foundation have provided services as a contractor, for example, to the Chancellor's office where it makes sense. So we certainly do that where it makes sense.
Any other questions? Member Malumed?
Two thoughts. One, I'm not quite sure if you mentioned to the new members that your office is in this building.
Oh.
So they're very close, across the hall.
We are.
And you reminded me of something when you were talking about the OSHA grant. At that time, there was a lot of effort put forward to make sure all colleges had a foundation, because they all didn't. Was that effort successful? Do they all have foundations? Have they grown? Just sort of a little update, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the landscape is improving as it relates to local college foundations. Unfortunately, not all of the colleges do have local foundations that are actually running and functioning. Some may have something separately incorporated, but it's not really functioning. And so that work is ongoing. But I think the OSHA initiative, coupled with the work that the Network for California Community College Foundations has been doing to really kind of elevate awareness and advocacy around the importance of fundraising in the California community colleges, has helped improve the landscape so that the strong foundations are getting stronger, and the foundations that are kind of at the next level are starting to kind of take the kind of that next step up. So I would say we still have a long way to go, but I think the efforts that are happening now are fruitful and moving in the right direction to continue to make improvements on that front.
So just to give me a sense, how many colleges have no foundation? Is it
so
10, 20, 40?
What I could tell you, so there are about, what's interesting is that there are probably maybe 10 or less that don't have an active, either have none or don't have an active foundation. But the total number of foundations is more like 100 to 110, and that's because some districts have foundations at the district level and at the local foundation level. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Member Isumi?
First of all, I just want to thank President Mills and Chair Sullivan for the great presentation. I'm sure you probably mentioned this to the new members, but during the orientation, but there are two members of the Board of Governors who are members of the Foundation Board, and Member Reed and myself are currently serving as the Board of Governors representatives on the Foundation Board, and it's been it's a terrific working relationship that we have between the foundation board, the foundation, and with the Board of Governors, and with the leadership team that President Mills heads up there is an incredible group of people, and so it's been a great pleasure to work with them. And I would encourage the new members, as President Mills had mentioned, the statewide Chancellor's Circle, because it tours around to various places and campuses in California, to attend if it comes to your neighborhood. I was able to attend one of them, I believe, at American River College with Chancellor Harris and with President Mills, and it was extremely enlightening. It's a good way to network with people in the field, people in the private sector, and so I think it's a terrific program, for the Chancellor's office, but also something that the Board of Governors individual members can avail themselves of, and see what's really going on the ground level. So, with that, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks to the both of you. Thank you very much. Before we move into a break, I would like to reintroduce, because he was unable to be here earlier, a new member to the board, member Thomas Epstein. Good to have you here. Thank you. We'll take a 10-minute recess. Break.
Okay. Plane.